So here we go with another TV series review. This TV series we'll be watching, well, I'm not gonna be watching, but I reviewed the Futurama TV series review. Why? Wait, I did a review. No, I reviewed it myself. Why? Because in July 24th or 27th, one of those two dates, Hulu is making new Futurama episodes. I can't wait for that, and because of that, I decided to do a Futurama review. And I'm not gonna lie, but I didn't watch the last season, and also I didn't watch the movies with it because one, I've watched the movies like 2 or 3 times already. I really like the movies. In the last season, I'm not really a big fan of. I'm more a fan of like the earlier season. So let's get this review on the way. I tried to do it like my last review, but I kind of messed up, taking notes everywhere instead of how I did last time. I even got extra notes because of it, so at least you all got some extra notes on the series. Well, I'll start off with my favorite episodes. That's what I'll start off with. And my favorite episodes are Season 1, Episode 2, which is playing in the background right now. And that's a Moon Amusement Park episode where they have to make a delivery to the moon. And yeah, I realized I didn't write the official episode name down because it's so if whatever channel you find the episodes on, they're sometimes out of order. So I figured I'll just write them the way I remember them the best. So yeah, in this episode, you really get to understand at least half the crew, honestly, with Bender in his kind of Eric Cartman way, and Amy with her, can-do attitude until it actually is able to do. And basically, yeah, not all the characters, but half the characters you get to understand. Even Dr. Zoidberg here at the start, you understand like he's not a human doctor, so humans, they're pretty much confused by how he can tend to them. And that's like the running gag there. My second favorite episode is in Season 2, Episode 5. Bender teaches Leela how not to care. And honestly, I think the viewer as well, how not to care. Because the problem throughout the episode is like Leela's problem is that her problem is Bender doesn't have any problem, and so the professor he creates a chip for Bender, the robot, so he'll feel exactly what Leela is feeling at the time, and from that it ends up getting them into trouble because the way their group is, it's pretty much down set to where it's almost unstoppable. But if it was all the same, then it wouldn't be as good or as strong. For example, well, I don't want to give the ending of the episode away, like spoiler, but yeah, at the end of the episode, it comes down to Bender having to save the day, but Bender can't because he's feeling emotions that Leela's feeling instead of his regular emotions. and it's keeping him too terrified to save the day. And then so he has to teach Leela, like, look, you gotta quit caring. And boom, he was able to save the day then. And then my third favorite episode is Xmas Story, because season 2 episode 8, the Xmas Story. It was I think it was the first time they introduced the Santa robot in the series, and also in that episode, Fry and Leela, they were like, that was the first time you realize that they're going to become a relationship. I remember seeing that as a kid, and I was like, I was rooting for that relationship. I was like, that's a power couple right there, as a kid. And yeah, it's still my favorite episode. And the reason being is because the next part right here, my three most favorite characters in the show. The first character, my most favorite character, is Bender, of course, because, well, he's a winner. He might just be a bending robot, but he proves that, like, he's much more than that, I guess. Dr. Zoidberg is my second most favorite character, and that's just because to me, he's like the comedian of the show, really. Like, and all my friends growing up that liked this show, they were all Dr. Zoidberg fans. Like, every quote they'd be making was Dr. Zoidberg. The next thing I knew, like, I seen Dr. Zoidberg becoming a meme, and I was like, wow, Dr. Zoidberg's a pretty popular character. I think I understand why. He's funny. And then my third favorite character was, at first I thought it was a Santa robot, because throughout the series you get to see character development through that character in his episodes. But then I thought about it, it's like, yeah. Then Flexo, I thought Flexo also has character development too, the same as the Santa robot. And then I was like, huh. Oh, Flexo, by the way, is Bender's twin, the one with the goatee. And then so I finally decided my third favorite character is Dr. Hubert's Farnsworth. Good news, everyone. Like, it's good news that their series is coming back. The episodes I hated the most were Season 1, Episode 3, Fry's New Place, and that's where Fry was at first living at the factory that they worked at, but then he had to find a place to live at, and he moved in with Bender at first, and Bender's house was just basically a small closet area. At least that's what they thought. And so Fry finally finds a home that he can buy and move into, but Bender, he has to make the choice. If he's going to live there, he has to cut off his antenna, and like, instead of deciding to go, like, find a new place or something, Fry's just like, well, just cut off your antenna. It's not like that. And then Bender even says, like, would you cut off your wing wing? But yeah, I didn't like that episode because Bender actually goes through with it and cuts off his antenna. And it's heartbreaking for Bender, but it's only heartbreaking for Bender. Like, no one else cares. I thought, man, that was sucky to see for Bender. My second most hated episode, I think, was Season 1, Episode 8, The Big Trash Ball. not enough. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, with the big trash ball episode, it was like in Fry's time, they decided to throw all their trash that was leftover trash that they couldn't fit at their, um, what's it, junkyard. So they shot it up into space, and then now, in the future, in Futurama, it was coming back at this Earth, about to hit it. And so, what they did is they decided to, like, start making trash again, make another trash ball, hit it into it, make it avoid its way. And then they're like, at the end, well, won't that trash ball come back around? And we'll, like, yeah, but in the future they'll have to worry about that, not us. The same as, like, and that's Fry's like, yep, that's how we thought. That's how you do it. I didn't like that episode because it felt like there wasn't enough inventing. Like, they tried basically 2, 3 things, and I was like, oh, that's it. They tried everything. I wish there was someone to go, but not everything. Well, really, not everything. You know, like in Death Clock, they needed what's his name? Murderface or something. My third most hated episode was Season 3, Episode 11, with Leela's eye surgery. It was like, I don't know, the whole episode was just like, not really that funny, and honestly, I felt bad for Leela because throughout the episode, you start to think, wow, this character looks cool. You never really get to see a Cyclops like this before, ever, I think, until this series. And the next thing you know, they wanted to give her eye surgery to, like, normalize her or something. I was like, even when I was growing up, I thought, oh, that's pretty messed up. Like, every time when the episode played, I remember, like, right away it would be like showing a doctor walking in and be like, hey, because they're at a restaurant eating, and he was like, I can help you with your eye. And then so when I was younger, every time I seen that scene, I just quit watching the episode. I didn't even like it back then. I still don't like it. Some fun facts about this series is, let's see here. Bender used to follow what was programmed until he walked into a light bulb, which was jacking on, a high for robots. So yeah, at first when you see Bender in the first episode, like, he's right away, he's like, you know, I only could do the things that I'm programmed to do. If you want me to do extra stuff, I can. And he walks into a broken light bulb thing that was on, and so with his antenna, and as soon as he hits it with the antenna, it gives him a shock. And later in the season, you'll find out that's called jacking on for robots. It's like a high for them. And then so once he done that, it was like, oh, I guess I don't really care what I'm programmed to do. And you'll find that out in, like, that's in the first episode. That's why I found that was funny. And at first I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if he never met Fry, he never walked into that open light bulb thing, would he be the Bender that we know? But then I thought about it, I was like, nah, because even before he met Fry, he was a robot trying to kill himself, like, he was, already pretty crazy before he met Fry. Professor, I'm pretty sure that wasn't programmed in his thing, unless maybe it was. That's messed up, though. Maybe it was programmed in his mind to have to kill himself, and maybe it's a good thing he met Fry, because he walked into that thing. You never know, honestly, with cartoons. I like that about the little conspiracy theories in cartoon. Number two, Professor Hubert. Uh, the Professor Hubert Farnsworth is super forgetful at start of at the start of the series, then remembers more and uses smarts later in the series. Unlike that note I wrote down. But yeah, um, at the first couple seasons, the professor, he's not useful at all, honestly, it seems like. And then, like, after, I guess, season 3, or even probably at the beginning of season 4, it's when really Professor starts to show how smart he really is. And it feels like we still haven't, like, got to see how smart the Professor really is when it comes down to it, because he, I mean, he wasn't that smart even as he was showing how smart he was as the series kept going in the later seasons. Uh, Number 3, let's see. Oh, I see. Season 1, Episode 5 is the first time we hear about robotica from Bender. At first, he says it's a holiday he makes up, but then, like, later on in Season 5, he brings it up again, and it makes a whole big deal out of it, like, we need this certain oil in order to do our robotica thing. And, he even got 2 other robots to get in on it, and I think he was paying them to be in on it, like as dancers. But he possibly created robotica for their universe. Uh, Number 4, Bender can be taken apart any way has one small kill spot, question mark. Yeah, that's right. Like, even in the new series, like the trailer for the new series, or not the new series, or the last season they show it like where Bender's getting taken apart, like torn apart basically, nothing much left, and he's just fine with it. And then it shows him versus a giant can opener, and the can opener cuts him up pretty badly, and it immobilizes him. But possibly, maybe it didn't immobilize him. Maybe that was a giant scam fraud he did or something, trying to get something. Because possibly, honestly, like, when you think as how Bender does with his thieving, it might have slipped his mind there, and then once he saw it was working as good as it was, he probably went with it. Because a lot of other time, like, Bender could, like, get torn apart and just get right back up fine, like within the next 10 minutes, fine. So Bender has, like, immunity to, and I think immunity to pain too. Like, I think what he does is like that one episode where he was so intrigued by the turtle. I think that's because what he shares with the turtle is its self-defense system. How a turtle, like, once it feels threatened, it goes into its shell. I think Bender, what he does is, like, once he starts getting beaten up or damaged or anything like that, he'll say ouch or act like it hurts. In reality, it doesn't really hurt him that much. He probably doesn't even have a kill spot, really. Like, who knows, probably, like, by now on the storage cloud, internet brain or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but honestly, I think that's the case with how his defense system works. Here's some weird things I found out about the series. pick up next with the weird notes. So, episode 2, a signing. Oh yeah, the one that we just watched, there's a sign in the Moonlander. Not just watched, but the one I was showing in the background, which was where they visit the moon amusement park in season 1, episode 2. If you look at the end there and they go in that Moonlander, there's a sign that says in the background, returned by Historical Sticklers Society. Historical Sticklers. I don't know what that is. I have no idea, honestly. But I found out that to be interesting because that was just something like a cool sign in the background. One of those, you know, good for conspiracy theory. Because, watching the series, there's no Stickler Society mentioned. Historical Stickler Society. Throughout the whole thing. So I don't know, honestly. Like, that's just something, I don't know. Maybe it's like an inside joke for people like me that look there in the background for something. Maybe I'm the stickler. Or I'm the Historical Stickler Society part of it. 2, they eat mummies like beef jerky. Oh yeah, in the feature, the professor gets mad at Fry because Fry eats his beef jerky of a mummy, and it's a legit mummy, mummified from like 4,000, probably 5,000, 10,000 years, and it's like got shrunken and everything. And at first it's funny because I was watching that as a kid. I remember I watched it as a kid and I'm like, ew, Fry's eating a mummy? Like, why would it do that? And like, how would you think that's beef jerky? And then the professor says, I was gonna eat that jerky mummy. I was like, oh, I guess that's what they do in the future. I remember thinking that as a kid, and I thought the same thing as when I saw that part. Number 3, everything that was used for a holiday been extinct. Oh yeah, that was interesting. Like, a lot of the things that they would use for the holidays went extinct in the series, like pine trees for Christmas, and that was the only way to stop the Santa robot is have a Christmas pine tree. But since they went extinct, there's basically no way to stop him. And then everything that was used for, where said that? Oh, here's some funny notes I took down from a series. In season 1, episode 6, at the end, Fry and Leela do robot dance, and Bender says, "How the heck do you do that?" I remember seeing that as a kid and just cracking up, and even now, I still laugh at that a lot. Because Bender acts like he really can't do the robot, but he can do so much other dances. Every intro has a fourth wall breaking joke if you read it fast enough. It's true. Like right when they crash. And it's right here. Always at the beginning before they crash into it. Oh, it's at the beginning. There we go. Based on a true story. So, every episode has like an inside joke or breaking a fourth wall joke. I think that's pretty cool. Oh, by the way, cool. Here's some cool notes. Um, this one's really cool. The first one, the internet in season 2, episode 13. And the future is beautiful. It's sure, it really is. It's like, it's crazy how they made the internet look. And it looks so much fun. And I love that they're playing the game. And then you see Professor's head chime in, a giant head, like trying to call him out of it. Like, come on guys, it's time for work. And they keep on blasting it, they keep on playing the game. They look so cool. Number 2. Hermes gets a brain slug on his head, and in season 2, episode 13, in the next episode, Hermes loses a rank, and oh yeah, I found that cool. Like I never realized that when I was younger because I never really thought of the episodes even being able to, like, I don't know, drag on like that, like a series or something. So I never expected that, but when I rewatched it, I saw that in the one episode, Hermes gets this brain slug on his head, and Hermes is the accountant guy. And in the next episode, he gets in trouble with his work, and he becomes like a little bit, I guess, more stupid or something. Somehow he has a problem with counting. And so, like, I never thought about this before, but I think like in the episode before, that brain slug, it probably made him, took away some of his smartness or something like that. Dr. Zoidberg is a good doctor, surprisingly. Yeah, it's like Dr. Zoidberg. It's like I know it sounds crazy that he's a good doctor, but when you think about it, he screws up, but he doesn't kill a patient, and he's able to do like some pretty amazing things. Like, consider, even though if it's messed up or not, it's still like where it's like, dang, it's cool, because like Dr. Zoidberg and Fry gets into a fight in one episode. Dr. Zoidberg pinches Fry's arm off, and he gets it back on, not even sewing it somehow. He like just plops it back on, but he accidentally does it on the wrong side. And even with like every time they have like some kind of crazy disaster, um, Dr. Zoidberg ends up saving them. Sometimes the professor would save them like 2 times. And I guess it's like if they hit like very death, the professor has to save them. But if they're like just damaged, like got sick or broken bones or something like that, then Dr. Zoidberg can't help them. And I think like there's like an inside joke there where it's like the crew members don't really go to Dr. Zoidberg because it's like in real life, like, you know, the doctor costs a lot of money to go to. So you're gonna kind of avoid the doctor as much as you can until you have to, you know, until you really need the doctor. I feel like that joke kind of, you can kind of feel that from the Futurama series with Dr. Zoidberg's character. Number 4, death rolling is really cool. Oh yeah, a skateboard game in season 3, episode 3. It's Fry versus the Chief, and it's like Fry and his girlfriend from the past end up thinking they time traveled into the future, but end up like just messing up and getting dropped off somewhere else. And the kids, they play this game where it's like they um, they're both on skateboards or hoverboards, and they'll hold like a rag, and they'll see the last one holding the rag is a winner. When I watched that part of the episode, I was like, dang, that's really cool. Like they can put that into a Futurama game right there. I love to play that part. And it was really cool to see because it was like the kid had a hoverboard, a futuristic hoverboard, and Fry somehow he had a skateboard. Just an old school, even like an old homemade skateboard, I think it was. Um, my last cool note is Fry creates comics for 3 seasons. Wait, for 3 seasons. Oh yeah, Fry creates comics for 3 seasons. In one episode, you get to see this, like his comic creating skills. It's pretty cool how their comics are, and they basically animate. The pages are able to animate themselves, and there's like one episode, he works really hard to like try to get one of his comics done, and in another episode, he'll sit there, or he tried to get one of his comics reviewed by um, one of the famous comic writers, and then in one episode, like um, Fry draws something, and Dr. Zoidberg walks by and takes it. He's like, "Oh, is this what's new in this week?" Like as if Fry was a famous comic writer or something like that. And so I think like Fry actually does make comics for like on the side or something. Here's some extra notes. I know this has been a long video, but hang in there with me. There's some extra notes for anyone that wants to hear the extra notes. I think I wrote down 3 more favorite episodes of mine, which was Season 2, Episode 20, the What If Machine, or the Fingernator Long, of course, how it was. Dr. Professor, he makes a machine, what if machine that shows you ask it a question, what if, and it'll show you the outcome of that what if. And the whole thing is like, Dr. Professor, like, no one asked it anything, only Dr. Professor, um, Professor Farnsworth asked it, what if I made this extra long finger the whole time. But I love all the episodes that have like the 3 mini episodes inside, kind of like a Treehouse of Horror in the Simpsons series. Whenever any show does that, that's my favorite episode for sure in the series. Season 3, Episode 7, Big Brains Attack, uh, and the story diving. Yeah, this is another like example of it. Like at the end of this, there's big floating brains that are attacking that city, and so Fry and Leela, they go jumping the book in the book, like in the episode of American Dad where they go jumping in the book of Roger and Francine before it burns down, the library burns down, and just because they have that part where it's like it's showing these different stories but in the same animation as a cartoon, that I love it when it does that. Season 5, Episode 10, A Universe in a Box. That was a really cool one because like there's a point where Dr. Zoidberg steals a box, and then they're all chasing him through these other boxes, and every time they jump in a box, it's a different universe, and you get to see like there's like 100 universes in the Futurama story, and it's like all the universes I thought looked cool. So if you ever get a chance to see, that's a really must-see episode right there. And it's pretty funny too, the way it ends. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's a dramatic ending. Here's some extra favorite episodes. Here's 3 more extra favorite episodes. I forgot I wrote an extra favorite episodes. Extra more. Extra. Season 3, episode 12. See, all my favorite episodes have been like the beginning episode, like the beginning seasons. That's because those were my favorite seasons right there. Fry flew over the cuckoo's robot. Yeah, that was a good one. So, Fry gets put in a psych ward, and he comes out because the psych ward was for robots, and he comes out thinking and acting like a robot all the way till the end of the episode. I thought that was really funny because I'm a fan of the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So, whenever a show does a parody on that, I think that's really cool. Second one, season 4, episode 2, Return of Santa. It's just a Return of the Santa robot episode. By the way, in this series, Santa is like most Santa in other series too, cartoon, which is weird, but he's like a bad guy, a very strong bad guy. He's like that final boss bad guy. Season number 3, season 4, episode 8, Bender's Blender, Bender to the Planet. I always loved this episode. I thought this was cool. So Bender gets launched into space, and he's floating there, and he eventually starts to become a plant, like little organisms start developing on his chest and his back, and so he becomes a god to these organisms, and it's just so it's just so hilarious how the whole thing plays out. It's crazy. That's like an episode for sure. I would definitely say go watch that one if you never watched Futurama before. Here's some extra hated episodes. I got season 5, episode 1, Crimes of the Hot Heat Machine. Season 5. Hold on, I'm gonna have to check that out. Oh, I remember this one now. The reason why I didn't like it was because they were like, all these robots are causing too much exhaust and too much pollution. We're gonna just blow them all up. And it took the robots to come up with a good idea, basically. And yeah, I was like, damn, that was too close of a call for all these awesome robots messed up. Second most hated episode I got is season 5, episode 2, Fry's old dog. Throughout the episode, they finally got like a fossilized of Fry's old dog, and they're debating whether to bring it back or not. And Bender's getting all jealous and stuff. And at the end of it, I'm gonna spoil this one because I really didn't like this episode at all that much. And at the end of it, Fry's just like, I'm not gonna bring back the dog back to life because he lived a full life. He lived out what he wanted to live. He had a life worth living or something like that. And then it cuts over to what the dog's final years was like, or after Fry was frozen. The dog just basically laid out in front of the pizza shop the whole time until it got old and died. It didn't have a nice life when Fry left. They should have brought back the dog, I thought. And I still think that. Who knows, maybe in the new seasons to come, they might end up bringing back the dog. And what's funny is like Hermes was like going through some junk or something, and he picks up a fossilized dog, and he goes, oh no, it's another one of Fry's dogs. So Fry didn't just have one dog that, you felt so heartbroken about in that one episode. He actually had multiple dogs, apparently. Number 3, Season 5, Episode 15. Bender as Jackass. Yeah, when Bender did the whole uh, Jackass thing, it was like, it was like, you got your cartoon. Like they do some cool stuff in this cartoon too, like, and now you got Bender sitting there like doing the most lamest things that like acting like, oh, this is Bender and this is Welcome to Jackass. And next thing you know, he'd set himself on fire with some gasoline. It's like, I was thinking, well, why doesn't he do any stunts like Jackass does? They do stunts too. That's what he should have done. Stunts. And finally, my last note here, most hated character. And I only got one most hated character because I liked every character in the show, except for one character, and that's Zach Bramigan. Zach Bramigan. Zach Bramigan, the pilot guy, basically. He's, I mean, I know a lot of people, other people hate him too, so, but, yeah, I don't like him because, he's not funny, and it's just, he feels like whenever he's in the story, everything starts to drag, and it becomes like all these sex jokes and stuff like that, and yeah, it really does feel like it starts to drag. So that's my reason of not liking Zach Brannigan. Also because he's, basically the creep guy that no one does anything about, that has all this power. That too. Anyways, that was my review on Futurama. Like the turtle, I'm gonna roll out of here, get back up. Hopefully, you can learn like Bender and me. Roll up and get on out of here. Peace out. Don't forget to stay awesome.
In that case, I hereby declare it Robot Party Week.